On November 10th in Iowa, a chilling incident unfolded involving 17-year-old Michael Swanson, who callously took the lives of two men and displayed a disturbing lack of remorse during his court proceedings. The horrifying chain of events began when Swanson entered a gas station with the intention of stealing cigarettes, wearing a ski mask to conceal his identity. Threatening the 47-year-old cashier, Vicki Bowman Hall, he demanded the cigarettes. But shockingly, even after complying with his demands, she was mercilessly shot in cold blood. Regrettably, this act of violence was only the beginning of Swanson's rampage. Merely an hour later, Swanson entered another convenience store, where he callously shot and killed Sheila Myers, a 61-year-old woman. Subsequently arrested, he faced separate trials for the two murders. Throughout the court proceedings, Swanson maintained a chillingly cold and lifeless gaze, showing no signs of empathy or remorse. After pleading guilty to the charges, he shockingly admitted to intentionally and premeditatingly shooting the clerk, demonstrating his specific intent to end her life. In court, one of the victim's daughters bravely addressed Swanson, breaking down in tears. She accused him of lying about his motive, asserting that his claim of committing the acts for cigarettes and money was a falsehood. However, Swanson, exhibiting a complete lack of empathy, remained indifferent and callous. The chilling demeanor continued as he began laughing maniacally, even directed towards the judge, while his defense argued that he suffered from mental instability. In light of his heinous crimes, Swanson was ultimately sentenced to 2 life sentences for first-degree murder. Yet, the tale does not end there. Shockingly, Swanson's violent tendencies persisted within the prison walls, as he stabbed another inmate during a court appearance, resulting in an additional 25-year sentence. Consequently, it became evident that the severity of serving 2 life sentences did not dissuade Swanson from engaging in further criminal acts. T.J. Lane's horrific shooting at Chardon High School in Ohio on February 27, 2021, left an entire school in terror, with 5 innocent victims losing their lives. The tranquil atmosphere of an ordinary school day was shattered when 17-year-old Lane suddenly unleashed a barrage of gunfire in the cafeteria. In his act of madness, Lane took the lives of Daniel Parmator, Russell King, and Demetrius Hewlin. 2 others, Nick Walzak and Roy Rickers, were injured during a heroic chase by a teacher and a football coach. After his arrest, Lane stood trial for his unfathomable acts of violence. Psychiatric evaluation suggested that Lane suffered from extreme psychosis and hallucinations. Despite these findings, the judge determined that Lane was mentally competent to stand trial. However, Lane's behavior in court turned it into chaos. He shocked everyone when he removed his shirt, revealing a t-shirt with the word "killer" written on it. This act served as a straightforward admission of guilt. Showing no remorse and openly displaying his sociopathic tendencies, Lane directed an offensive gesture toward the victims' families. With no doubt about his guilt, Lane received 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
For refusing a cell block assignment, and last month he lost 10 days of recreation time for doing the exact same thing. These new details coming out as Lane's attorneys make a move to have his life sentence overturned. His legal team filed an appeal claiming a minor convicted as an adult shouldn't be sentenced to life. We understand prosecutors plan to respond to Lane's request by next month. Terrence Lee, News Channel 5.
However, the story took a dramatic turn when Lane, along with 2 others, managed to escape from prison using a makeshift ladder. Their freedom was short-lived, as Lane was recaptured just a day later. He was promptly sent to the Supermax Ohio State Penitentiary, where he would be confined for the rest of his life, ensuring that he could no longer harm anyone else. Life sentences have become the harshest punishment available for criminals, but some cases push the boundaries even further. One such case involved Luis Bracamontes, who brutally murdered Sheriff Deputy Danny Oliver and Detective Michael Davis during a carjacking spree in 2014. Bracamontes had been on the wrong side of the law since 1997, with previous deportations to Mexico for drug charges. This time, however, deportation was not an option. Throughout the 4 years of court proceedings, Bracamontes made every effort to make the hearings as difficult as possible. He constantly smiled and laughed at the charges, even threatening to kill. Bracamontes displayed a confidence befitting a true gangster, seemingly proud of his heinous acts and disregarding the fact that his victims were law enforcement officers. Despite his outbursts and disruptions, Bracamontes couldn't escape the inevitable. In 2018, he was sentenced to death. Ronnie O'Neal III, a man whose heinous actions shocked even the most hardened observers, displayed a heartless disregard for human life as he took the lives of his own daughter and her mother, while also injuring his son. In March 2018, a harrowing 911 call captured the chilling sounds of screams and a woman pleading for her life. A male voice, later identified as Ronnie O'Neal III, claimed to have been attacked by white demons before admitting to killing his attacker. When the police arrived at the scene, they were confronted with a horrifying sight that resembled something out of a nightmarish horror movie. The house had been engulfed in flames. Kenyatta Barron, a 33-year-old woman, was found unconscious. Tragically, 9-year-old Ron Nivier, O'Neal's daughter, had succumbed to hatchet wounds, while 8-year-old Ronnie O'Neal IV had been stabbed. The young boy revealed that his father had shot his mother. Ronnie O'Neal III was apprehended and confessed to the murders, asserting that Kenyatta and their children were devils. The court proceedings surrounding O'Neal's case were equally disturbing. O'Neal chose to represent himself, but his approach was far from conventional. He began cross-examining his own son as if the boy were a stranger, engaging in unsettling mind games and reminiscing about happier times in an attempt to elicit sympathy. Throughout the trial, O'Neal's behavior was unsettling. He constantly nodded, made strange noises, and even claimed that the murders were an act of self-defense in the bedroom before setting it on fire. His demeanor lacked any semblance of remorse or regret. It was evident that Kenyatta had tried her best to create a loving environment for her children, evidenced by the princess-like care she provided. Despite her efforts, tragedy befell the family at the hands of Ronnie O'Neal III. Ultimately, Ronnie O'Neal III was charged with a range of offenses, including first-degree murder and arson. The verdict delivered a resounding message, as he received 3 life sentences. Throughout the entire process, O'Neal showed no hint of remorse, only the chilling gaze of a convicted killer. He would spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole, serving consecutive counts for his unspeakable crimes.